What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3D Rivals, your first line of defense against stupid movies. My name is DJ, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, my sister Deidre,
What's up? What's up?
my brother Derek,
What's up?
and my wife this time, Taylor.
I'm back, guys. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. This week, you
Yeah, it's
guys,
been a while.
we have watched Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to the first Venom movie. And we're just going to do a quick review of that. I'm going to do a little bit of a spoiler free section here if you haven't seen Venom yet and you're just wondering whether or not you should go see it. I'm going to say this Venom movie, I believe, is better than the first one. So if you did like the first one, you should definitely go see this because it's better. If you didn't like the first one, maybe you should go see it. I think the movie's decent, so I would recommend going see the movie. I can't guarantee if you didn't like the first one that you would like the second one though.
That's not very high praise for a movie. You're like, it's cool and all, but if you don't see it, that's fine. But if you want to, go ahead.
I guess that's pretty much my
Okay.
consensus there. But yeah, so I'm going to jump into my likes and dislikes of the movie. Of course, spoilers for Venom. There are some pretty big reveals in this movie. So if you haven't seen it, don't stay for the spoilers. You can pause our podcast, go watch Venom, and then come back and listen to our spoiler review.
Please come back.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you come back. Though.
Definitely come
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, so first thing I want to say, I mentioned it before. I do think that the story of this movie is overall better than the first story. The
Yes,
story
it
in the
is.
first Venom movie had so many problems, and a lot of it didn't make any sense. I think this story, barring some nitpicks that I have, makes sense throughout the entire movie, and it wasn't like. At no point was I like that was a stupid story design, you know?
Do you think it benefits from being able to pull directly from the comics, something the first one couldn't do because they didn't have Spider-Man? So this one benefits because it's coming from what, Maximum Carnage or something?
I believe Maximum Carnage and Lethal Protector, I believe.
You asked me like I knew the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know either. I don't know either.
But I feel like this movie might have been able to benefit because now it has a source material to pull from.
Yeah, that could have been it. You know, having that source material could definitely help you. Plus, they've changed a few things. You have Andy Serkis on now, and I think he's proven to be at least a decent director. Plus, he's got a lot of acting experience, and you know, I like him. I mean, showing me this movie, I would say he's a good director. So I think that has something to do with it as well. Speaking of the story, the character motivations in this, like I put this in my likes because, like I said, it wasn't like in the last movie. Venom kind of is like, oh Eddie, I want to bond with you because I was a loser too, and you were a loser. It's so stupid, right? Yeah, literally.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
In the first film, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely stupid. So
That's what you lose when you don't have their equal hate of Spider-Man.
Right.
You had to find another
True.
reason for them to want to join.
True.
But that's not a
True.
good reason, though.
it's not. They didn't come up with a good reason.
Oh, okay. They could spend a little more time in the writing room for that.
Yeah, but Taylor's right.
Yeah.
That's what we lost. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the whole premise of Venom's character. It was he hated Spider-Man and Peter Parker because he was rejected. And Eddie Brock hated Peter Parker and Spider-Man, not knowing that they were the same person at the time, but because of everything that he was going through. So it was like when they bonded, it was an equal hate for this person. And it's like, yeah, the whole reasoning in the first movie is like, okay, y'all just put
Yeah.
this together because y'all know they have to be together for the sake of the character.
Not to mention the villain motivations in the first one.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
Just I don't know. Aliens are better than humans, so he wants humans. It was stupid. So this when I say the character motivations were better, it was a lot better. The story surrounds the problems that Eddie is having with having Venom with him. So he's always hearing Venom in his head. Venom is not getting a chemical, which I cannot pronounce, which he needs human brains for. This is comic accurate, so they didn't make it up. That's why Venom bites people's heads off.
Wait a minute. I didn't know Venom bites people's heads off.
Yeah.
He feeds off of human brains?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a
Yes.
chemical he needs. He can also get it from
Yeah.
chocolate.
And
What?
yeah. There's a chemical element that's in human brains that helps Venom basically continue to live.
I thought
Yeah.
just being attached to Brock was enough.
That's
No,
no,
it
only
wasn't.
kills him.
I mean, they didn't do
Yeah.
this in the cartoon, obviously, because
Well, see, I guess my problem is I only know Venom from the cartoon.
that might do it.
Yeah, no, Venom in the comic books is on the lines of like Punisher and Deadpool and when they redid Wolverine. Like, yeah, it was your young kids shouldn't read Venom. Like teenager and above.
Yeah. So and that kind of nagging from Venom, because Eddie Brock is basically like, look, we can't harm just anybody. We can't harm good people. And then even to a point where it's like, hey, if bodies are always dropping around where Eddie was, then people are getting suspicious, right? So
Mhm.
he's like, we can't really do that. And it was like this scene where Venom, like, it's this lady getting mugged. Now she was handling her own, like beating the muggers behind. She was, but Venom came in and quote unquote saved her.
Right.
But he wanted to.
Oh, and he said she didn't know that she needed saving.
Yeah. But he wanted to, because the guy was a bad guy, quote unquote. He wanted to eat him, and Eddie's like, no, you don't die from mugging someone.
I'm not gonna lie. When you said he needed to eat brains, I was thinking, oh, why not just go after murderers and stuff? Then
Oh.
who cares?
Well, that was the rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the rule.
The rule
Yeah.
was not to eat good people.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's we said all that. Their story beat is to Eddie and Venom are having kind of like relationship problems. And they eventually split in the movie. And it makes sense. Like, you actually sympathize with Eddie. Like, yeah, I wouldn't want to have this thing talking in my head all the time
All
either.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes
Destroying
sense.
your apartment.
Yeah. Destroying his apartment. Just holes everywhere.
Okay.
But also, you have the character of Carnage. Like, his story was done well as well. Like, as a crazy serial killer, I think.
Yeah, I felt like
Woody
Carnage
Harrelson
was
did.
spot on.
Yeah.
It was definitely spot on.
Yeah, and even his motivations. Like, usually, the villain, especially in these movies, right? You need some good motivation. His motivation, especially for some psychotic serial killer, was solid. He was locked up, and he wanted to save his girl, break his girl out, and then get revenge on everybody. Period. And that was it. And it was like,
That
you
locked him
understand
up.
his motivation, nothing crazy. He's not trying to take over the world or do something evil just to be evil type of deal, So I thought that was done well. Besides, he looked great. I think Carnage looked good. And there was this scene with Carnage when he was first revealed, like, Cleese Cassidy was getting the death penalty, and that's when Carnage came out. And it was just, I think that was one of the best scenes of the movie, in my opinion. Y'all think the same, or?
Yeah, that was definitely on my list of his reveal scene. The way that it was shot, that was probably, I would agree, the best scene of the movie. Just the way that it was done and the way that it was shot.
Yeah.
I would
So,
agree with that as well. I would say like I was kind of jumpy at that scene. Like I kept on staring, anticipating like, okay, when is he going to jump out? When is he going to jump out? And it was just like he kept slowly just snatching people. but you still didn't see him.
Yeah. One of the things I would say, that I said, the Carnage's scream was terrifying.
Hmm?
Like, and not like
Hmm.
terrifying, like, oh my God, I'm scared in the movie theater, but like the way it sounded. If I was a person standing in that room when Carnage like let out his little scream and stuff, like, yeah, you know, bowels are probably
Yeah.
going at that moment, to put it nicely.
What?
Like, like he was legitimately terrifying. Which I don't know. It wasn't like that in the first movie with
Hmm.
the other symbiotes. It was just kind of like, that's an ugly mess. Like, oh my God, you know. So I think that there are significant differences there. Also, like we said, Carnage was done well. He is absolutely brutal in this movie. Absolutely, as both Cletus Cassidy and Carnage, like just
Yeah.
brutal. The last fight between him and Venom, like, man, he was getting it in on Venom, and like Venom got like stabbed in his chest like a bunch of times by.
But how can you stop him? I mean, isn't he just liquidy?
I think so, but like I think because
But I
Carnage is
think
another
since they both
symbiote,
are, yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
it's not like stabbing him with a knife.
Okay.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't. They don't explain that, but I kind of took it as okay. Carnage is a symbiote, so it hurts still.
Got it.
You know.
Okay.
Um. So yeah, that was very good. Also, you know how well, Deidre, you didn't see the first movie, did you?
I did not.
Okay. Well, Taylor and Derek, y'all saw the first movie.
Yes.
The Especially in the last fight, the two Riot and Venom didn't really look that much different, and it was just like a blobby mess as the last battle scene, which looked like absolute trash.
That
Like
CGI
slime.
fight was trash.
Yeah, so it was this I liked so much better because there was a clear difference between Venom and Carnage. Not just one's red and one's black,
Mm-hmm.
but like there was a clear difference between the two symbiotes that you could see the fight, you know? Like I said, it wasn't just a blobby mess, which if anyone's seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about, you know? Like it was just a blobby mess in that first movie. And this, I think, was a major upgrade.
It's
Um,
more distinguishable.
yeah, absolutely. And then lastly, on what I liked about the film, Carnage and Cassidy had some disagreements as well. And I think that
Mhm.
made sense. Like, first, Cassidy is all on board with having this psychotic symbiote with him because, of course, he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his motivations was to save his girl. I mentioned that, which was, what's her name? Screech? Shriek?
Francis Barrett,
Yeah, yes, that's her name
Her
as well.
legal
her
name.
legal
Yeah,
name,
her legal name.
was
Her
Francis
government name.
Barrett.
I believe it's Shriek.
So
Shriek.
she's there. He wanted to save her. That's the first thing they do. But like as they're running from the police, of course she uses her powers, and Carnage is like, "Yeah, no, absolutely not. If she does that again, I'm going to kill her."
Yep.
And
Yep.
like that causes a problem all the way up until the end of the movie between them, which I like. It made sense. It wasn't some contrived reason. Carnage is just like, she's gonna kill me.
Mm.
So yeah, that was where my overall likes about the movie. Thought it was pretty decent. As far as dislikes go, um, there are two characters from the first movie: Eddie's ex fiance and her new fiance, Anne and Dan. I don't think they're needed in this movie at all.
Yep.
Honestly, quite honestly, if you watch it, they're literally a plot device to get Venom back to Brock after they separate. Obviously, you needed Venom and Brock to separate at some point, which they do, and they needed a way to get Venom back to Eddie Brock.
To save her.
Yeah.
That was in a cartoon.
Was it in a cartoon?
It was.
Oh.
It was a doctor lady. Don't know what her name was. It was his
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah, I think I remember. I rewatched that.
Look at me remembering things.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, so awesome. Um, Another part that I didn't like so much was that at the end of the movie, Carnage and Cassidy both die.
Like die.
Like die.
Yeah.
Cassidy
Yep.
is 100% dead. We know that for sure.
For sure.
For sure. You can't live without a
For
head. So
sure. For
Cassidy's
sure.
dead.
Oh, Venom took his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
disappointing.
and I don't like it so much because, like, okay, the last movie, the bad guy died. I don't care. No one cares about Riot, right? Carnage is.
Right.
I don't like when they take big villains like that and it's
And
one
kill
and
them all.
done.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah. Yep.
it's because you could have used Carnage for so much more. I guess you, in a way, you could say the symbiote could have survived somewhere, like a little piece of it, but
But he's not the same without Cassidy, right?
no.
But then again,
I mean, I think he gets his crazy from Cassidy.
exactly. Where would you use him again? Now, I'm saying this not knowing. I'm sure there's comics that has moved on from this, and there's probably like a major storyline that people can tell me about. But like this storyline they could do, and they don't need him at all.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of agree. Like to kill off someone like Carnage, like why? But then maybe they don't really plan on continuing.
Maybe they don't. And they probably don't. I just like, I don't know. The bigger villains, I kind of wish would stick around. Although I can see why they did it, because I don't know how you get out the situation with these two without them dying.
True.
So
True.
So
Yeah, because they weren't going to stop.
okay, never mind. Go ahead.
all right, but that was pretty much all of my likes and dislikes.
Only one dislike.
It was a couple. I have another one, but I want to save that for Taylor.
Okay.
Speaking of, what did you like about the movie, Taylor?
Well, I liked a couple of things in this movie. I mean, you already mentioned about Carnage, Inception, and his reveal. That was a really great scene. But I think that just starting from the beginning, I liked Cassidy's backstory, how they set that out, and the progression of how that moved on throughout the movie. Kind of giving you a setup for him in a way that felt authentic and not contrived. I also liked how, because when Shriek kind of, because I was like, oh, he has a toilet girlfriend. The
Yeah,
whole
they were in
scene.
cells next to each other.
Yeah, so like
they
he had a
talked to each
toilet
other through the
girlfriend.
toilets.
And then, he gave her a little ring, so that was his toilet wife. But when she was getting taken away, and they kind of like focused in on that cop, even though like it's like you knew that was an Easter egg, but you didn't find out towards the end of the movie of like why Mulligan, the officer, was like important.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
thought
didn't
that
get it.
storyline. Yeah, it wasn't until the end when he said his like the detective's name like on the
Yeah.
phone, and I was like, oh, that's why. Because he ended up being the one that kind of
Well, she got shot in the eye.
shot. Yeah, basically he took her eye out.
He shot her in
He
the
shot
eye.
her. She tried
Yeah,
to
they were
escape,
trying to
and he shot
move her. Which one of my things is she a mutant? I'm
Yes.
just a little confused. I'm like, so are we doing
She
mutants?
is a
I was like,
mutant.
wait.
Yes.
I was like,
Well, that's huge.
I looked her up.
that's
yes.
huge. I was like, that looks like a mutant to me. Sound like a
There's
mutant.
something huge because she said in the movie, my mutation is getting stronger. And if you know anything about Marvel and Sony, they have not used the word mutant pretty much at all when it is referring to a person with powers.
Mm-hmm.
Called
So
And
me
they
that
a
didn't
means
refer
she's
to a mutant at all either. They never even used the word.
so she literally said my mutation, meaning she is a legit mutant. I know she is in the comics, but that means in this movie she's a mutant.
She also has some better powers too. Like I think in the movie, I'm
Yeah.
saying this because I didn't see the movie, but she only used her like shrieking powers, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, in the comics, she can see the person's darkest, I don't know, emotions or feelings or whatever, and manipulate that.
What?
Yeah. So
Dang.
like whatever's the
think you had
most
time for
awful
that.
part of you, she could take that and manipulate it and cause people to do crazy stuff.
That sounds like a horrible person to be around.
That sounds like a person I want to see in a movie.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna see it because she's dead. So
Aw, disappointing.
yeah,
I guess so. Like, oh man,
Everyone's
she
dead.
has more powers. Okay, never mind then.
Everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead.
Oh, I should have opened with that.
Yeah. But you were saying about Shriek, Taylor. I'm sorry, we went on a tangent.
Oh no, that was fine. The fact that we see our first instant of a true mutant in the film. I don't know what kind of. I guess technically it's Marvel Association, but to see an actual mutant is kind of interesting as we go forward. We're gonna talk about tie-ins. Or we're gonna do that later.
We'll talk about because you're gonna go on with the end credit scene.
That
Save
was
it
the
for
part
the
that I
end.
liked, but I will leave
We're gonna
that for
save
later.
that. Yeah.
I'll leave
Oh.
that for later.
Interesting about Shriek, like you said, like that guy shot her in the eye.
Yeah.
So in the comics, her one eye lights up when she's using her super duper mess with people's minds powers.
Oh.
It's only that one eye. I don't know if her eye gets shot out or not, but that might be why
No,
they did
it's
it in the
there.
movie.
There is blue.
It's like blue.
Oh, it's supposed to glow when she used her powers.
Okay. That was kind of glowy. It didn't glow when she used her powers, but it was kind of like a glowy thing.
Interesting. Okay, sorry. I
All right,
digress.
that was all of the likes, Taylor.
I mean, I guess I like the pace of the movie was fine.
Short.
I don't want to say like I have more dislikes than likes, but I felt like there were certain things that I don't want to say that I did. That I don't want to sound like I don't like the movie. I did like the movie. I did enjoy it. But I guess it's more so with certain characters.
Well,
And
tell
how
us
things
your
progress.
dislikes.
I mean, I felt like, well, one, I guess I did like we talked about before when they did separate. Venom and Eddie finally separated, and we're like, finally, Eddie gets this relief because up until this point, his life was in turmoil. Like, he had a very traumatic experience, and then just as he tried to put his life back together, which he kind of got back his credentials as a reporter and be able to go back to work and things like that. But of course, under the watchful eye of like the police and the FBI after all the stuff have happened in the first film, he's trying to put his life back together. But when you finally got to see him on his own and he's like finally cleaning up his apartment and like in essence cleaning up his life of all this like emotional baggage, and it was like I liked that part, but it was very short lived, but it was like
Well,
finally to give him
Eddie
some
has to be Venom.
relief.
Okay,
Right.
So do we need more of just normal Eddie then? Maybe a deep dive into what he does without Venom.
I don't know. I kind of liked that they split, but I did want him to get the Venom symbiote back. I was like, all right, you guys are fine. Just
It's like, what are his motivators? Like, without Venom, like, what are his motivators? Because I felt like you don't really. I mean, he doesn't have Anne. That's one thing I did like, and I guess the only reason Anne should have been in the film was for the short period in the beginning when she's like, "Oh, I need to talk to you," and we're like, I already could tell what she's gonna say, and he's like, "Oh, I'm engaged now," and he's all like, "Wow, that's way bigger than the one that I got you," and Venom's like, "No, it should have been you." He was like, "I'm gonna make you cry. She's gonna love it." And he was like, "No." Like, that's the only part Anne should have been in. Like, most of my dislikes have to do with Anne because I just felt like she wasn't needed. As DJ said, like, she wasn't needed. And I felt like the whole scene of her bonding with Venom just so that she could bring him to Brock kind of like didn't. I mean, honestly, we could have did without it because Venom had bonded with Mrs. Chan. So in essence, Mrs. Chan could have went to the police station and helped him bust out. Like, you didn't really need Anne. If anything, she was just more of a hindrance to him. Same with Dan. I mean, I guess some of my nitpicks, I guess there are more nitpicks than like dislikes, but I guess one of my likes was just Venom's kind of more humor and lightheartedness, which is like a like and a dislike. It was needed in the film to kind of not make it too dark and serious, but at a certain times I'm like, well, that's Venom's character should be more dark and serious because he's
Yeah, I feel
evil
like the
and crazy, and
humor.
he should be a villain.
So it was too silly.
No,
No,
I
it's
feel
just like it's not what we would assume when we think about Venom. It's like it tried to turn someone that was a villain into more of a lighthearted character that you wanted to root for. It's like he's not that
Now,
character.
didn't we talk about this a couple of weeks ago about how Disney, I know this is Sony, but they have an issue with just making people evil. It's like sometimes people are just evil, and sometimes I feel like they go out of their way to kind of like make you feel sort of bad for them. Like, oh, I understand this person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why can't the person just be evil? Like with that Cruella movie, she's not really Cruella DeVille. It's like, oh, she had a tragic childhood and all of this, and I'm like, just make it her a lady that likes killing puppies. That's what she is. Like, and just make the movie about that. And I feel like Disney
Still on my
slash.
watch list. I'm like, that's still on my watch list.
Oh well, I'm sorry.
Spoiler.
It's not the movie you think it is. I think they have an issue with just making people bad.
Well, I think I'm gonna kind of address that when we talk about the end credit scenes because I think it presents an issue for the future. So when we talk about the end credit scene, yeah, Venom just being, because Venom's not that, he's not that scary, you know, and I think that's why it's such a distinction between him and Carnage because. Carnage is scary, but even Venom's design, like it looks like Venom is great, but you know he's not that scary. I mean, obviously, if I saw him in person, yes, but you know what I mean. Yeah, and the humor, I don't know, I think the humor is hit or miss in this. There were lots of good humor in this movie stuff that I actually thought was funny, but there was some stuff where I'm like, you know. So I think it's hit or miss with the humor in the movie, but I don't think it brought it down.
Okay.
No. Like I said, it was more of just like with the character. If you're going into the movie thinking that this is what Venom was going to be, then it's not. But if you watch the first movie, then you already kind of have that idea. Like those scenes where he's like, oh, cheer up, Eddie, it's okay. Like, I'm going to make you breakfast as he's destroying his apartment and making him this disgusting breakfast. And it's like, it's okay. I did like the masquerade scene.
Oh my god!
Because it was kind of like the first time you got to see Venom on his own and kind of realizing his life without Eddie being there. Although I'm just like, everyone's like, oh my god, I love your costume. And the only person who had the right reaction was the actual performer on the stage. She's looking at him like, what is this thing on the stage right now, like this monster? Everyone else is just like, oh my goodness, like speak your truth, like this is great. And she's looking at him like, y'all don't see this monster standing on the stage. But yeah. I like that scene.
Now that you mentioned the masquerade, I gotta add something to the nitpicks. I'm gonna add that to my nitpick.
Okay.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Now, Venom can only be without a body for so long, correct?
Yeah.
He had a body. It's just,
he switched to another person.
Okay.
Yeah, he just kept going from person to person because they didn't last very long. And that's how he ended up back with Mrs. Chen. And then when Anne came to look for Venom because Brock got arrested, or actually he wasn't arrested, he was detained for questioning.
He wasn't even detained. They just brought him in to
I don't
question
know.
him.
They brought him in for questioning.
So you can leave at any time.
Yes, he could
He's
have
not
left.
under arrest.
There was nothing to hold him for.
If they have nothing to hold him, he didn't need a lawyer. He'd have just walked out.
He caught Ann, so I guess. I mean, he didn't say his lawyer.
I guess they didn't set that up right because he wasn't even in cuffs. They just had him sit in the room and they wanted to ask him questions about Cletus Cassidy escaping and the crazy monster thing that everybody's talking about. And they're like, hey, Eddie, you have to know something because all this stuff happened to you. He's not detained. He could have just left. That was kind of, again, you didn't need Anne or Dan.
No. Okay. And especially the whole Lady Venom. I'm just going to call it Lady Venom because every time Venom bonds with Anne, it's the form of a woman, even though when he bonds with other women, it's still Venom's form. Like,
It was
okay,
a
we
bit
saw them in the
weird.
first movie.
Yeah, Taylor's right. It was a bit weird that I mean, like, I think it's just it's weird that it's only Anne that you get the female form of Venom, which is from the comics. Oh, he bombed. I think it was two other women he bonded with, right, in that time, and it was just
Hmm.
big old Venom. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, how come? How come it's not the female Venom if it's that one? It's Anne.
Who plays Anne?
Michelle, um, my gosh.
Michelle, someone.
Michelle Williams,
Wait,
I believe, is her name.
Michelle, yeah, Michelle Williams.
Well, then that answers your question.
No.
I have a like dislike with her, to be honest, in most of the movies she's in. I feel like, yeah, still waiting to be wowed by her. But anyways, most like that kind of just bugged me. And then the whole way she like got Ben to bond with her, she was like, "Oh yeah, you're the sexy bad Venom, blah blah blah." And I'm just like, "Do you really need to do that?" And then Dan's like, "I'm right here." And I'm like, "Yeah, Dan,
Yeah,
that's your
it was.
true, that's your true
I think
self."
I think that was supposed to be humorous, and I think that's part of what I was saying. Some stuff hits, some stuff misses,
Mm.
and it was like
It
it's
came off
supposed to be funny.
cringy.
Yeah,
I was not amused by any of it. But that's pretty much my likes and dislikes
cool,
for
cool.
Venom. Let there be carnage, unless you want me to go into the other thing that I also disliked as well.
Oh yes, we didn't mention. I didn't mention it because you didn't
Okay.
mention it. So go
Well,
ahead.
okay. Let there be carnage was a line that was forced into many scenes in the movie unnecessarily, and it was very contrived. It was like there's gonna be carnage. Let there be carnage. Have you met Carnage? We get it. Like it was just like they kept saying it over and over again. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to continue to say the title of the movie in the movie. I mean, the writing on this was it could have got better writers. I just felt like the plot made sense, but the way they went about doing it and the storyline at times just did not flow. It was like, okay, I understand that you needed this to happen, but like you could have gave them some better scripts or something.
Yeah, I would agree. There were a few lines in this that just "Let There Be Carnage" is one of them. It feels forced.
I don't know why movies feel the need to say that title. Like I know what I'm watching.
Yeah, it's like there was no
In case
reason.
you forgot.
He said it. He said it in the last scene. They were like halfway through the fight, and then he just screams, "Let there be carnage!" And it's like, why? Why? It actually took you out of the moment because it just doesn't feel right. You know they put it in there because it's the title of the movie. Also, it being based partially on Venom Lethal Protector. Venom said a few times, "Oh, we should be called the Lethal Protector." And at the end of the movie, "Oh, we should be somewhere where they need a lethal protector." And it's like, okay,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
stuff like that has to be subtle. You have to make it subtle. Okay, I am Iron Man at the end of like Endgame. It's like it's out there, but it wasn't like Iron Man jumped in front of Thanos and went, "I am Iron Man."
Well, no,
You
even
know,
better that at the end of Iron Man,
yeah,
that was like, oh, I don't believe they just did that.
Yeah.
He didn't come landing down in his Iron Man suit. I am Iron Man.
yeah, like walking past everybody. I am Iron Man. I am Iron Man. I am Iron Man. You know?
If you didn't know, I am Iron Man.
Did you know that I was Iron Man? Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely a dislike. I guess it could kind of be a nitpick too, but
Yep.
Yeah.
all right, Derek.
Those are all my likes and dislikes. Derek.
I will say, my likes, the story, way much better than the first one as you brought out. I will say Carnage. I would like that as well, like how they did Carnage. Huh?
Nothing.
I'm sorry.
Continue.
How they did him, I liked. Um, my dislikes, I don't like Woody Harrelson's being Carnage though.
Really?
I, yeah,
I thought you did
I
a good
did not
job.
like him being Carnage.
Like, what about it didn't you like?
I just thought it was just weird. I felt like they tried to make him look younger than he actually was, and that was just weird for me.
That hairstyle was definitely bad.
Well, he's supposed to be a psychopath. Like he's not coming
Yeah,
out with a full
That don't.
gelled moosed hair and
he definitely
coiffed.
looked like
What do you
a
mean? So
psycho.
because he's a psychopath, he can't comb his hair. Ted Bundy combed his hair.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
okay.
I'm
Ted
just,
Bundy fans over here.
I'm,
oh Lord,
I'm
I'm just
saying
saying.
that just because a person is crazy doesn't mean they have to look crazy.
I know, but
He was also in prison.
no, I'm talking about after
there's
he
not
got
put together
out. That
people
little
in
comb
prison?
forward he did was weird.
No, they ain't
But
got no
did
gel
it-
and mousse in there.
They do too.
Well, he
It's
was
whatever
losing
is
it.
left on your books.
That. Oh my gosh, they have barbers.
Well, not
Yes,
where
they
he
do.
was at.
Oh, what? Where the Godfather was at? Yes.
First of,
That is
He's a
not where
federal
he
prison.
was.
first of all, that was from
There-
Goodfellas, not The Godfather.
Still federal prison,
Everybody doesn't get that treatment.
not in the state penitentiary.
I still
I
think there's
mean,
barbers.
when you're on death row now.
Yeah, he was on death row. That was a big
Yeah.
death row
And-
prison.
And he was in solitary confinement. Like he was by himself. He couldn't be with everybody else. So no, he don't get those amenities.
Yeah, probably because he would kill everybody else. So You know.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did well with the acting. I just it being him, I was just like, this is
That doesn't
I
make
don't
any
know.
sense. You
Not
thought
a
he was
fan?
good as the role, but you don't like him personally?
Personal vendetta. Don't.
no, that's not what I'm saying.
But
But
isn't that
okay.
what he said?
What are you saying?
it kind of.
I feel like that's what you
Okay.
said.
Not following. Well,
Okay.
then who would you cast in the role? Who would you think would better fit that role then? As Cleus Cassidy.
That I don't know because I didn't think about that.
See, I think Joaquin Phoenix could have been Carnage.
No.
That would have been weird.
Okay.
I don't
Alright,
feel
alright.
like he's dark enough. Like he
That
can
would've
go.
been
I mean, I know he's done darker roles, but for me, I don't feel like I don't know. He doesn't have that like insane look to him. Still
Yeah,
see
that
him
would
and
have
walk
been
the
weird.
I still see him and walk the line. Like I don't know.
I Gladiator is what I was thinking.
You were thinking of from Gladiator?
Oh, Lady. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Woody Harrelson was fine as Carnage, but you know,
Each its own.
yeah.
The only other thing I didn't like, and you both went along with this, yeah, his ex-girlfriend and her fiance was not needed in the movie at all. Not at
Glad
all.
we're not alone on this.
No, Ann and Dan. Get him out of here.
Hashtag no
Yeah.
Ann and Dan.
Hashtag no Ann and Dan. Are there gonna be aliens? Yes,
Oh,
Dan.
yeah, that was such a dumb line.
Is there gonna be aliens?
See, you can't be in a relationship,
meme-
Ann and Dan. You can't even mix their names together. It just makes Dan again. So
A Dan. Man.
Dan with two N's.
I mean, you can meme everything he said pretty much in this movie would turn into a meme.
True.
I'm standing right here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So that was
if
my
that-
likes and dislikes.
Okay. Well, we can start picking some nits. It's time to pick some nits. Oh, Tay's not.
Pick some nits.
There we go. Yeah. All right. So my first nitpick: why did Cletus Cassidy ask to speak with Eddie Brock in the first place? Like this kicks off the entire movie because Cletus gets Eddie Brock to come and like he said he wanted to speak to Eddie Brock, but he gives him like nothing, like to write an article on. But Eddie passed his cell and saw a bunch of carvings. Venom remembered it and drew it down, and so they found where like Cletus Cassidy's dead bodies were buried. Right.
Okay.
Right. And so
So,
why
like-
he wasn't originally on death row. He was just serving a life sentence.
Yeah, which put him on death row. So that's why Cletus Cassidy's mad at Eddie Brock because basically he got him killed. I understand that. I think that's fine plot wise. I even think
Yes.
Venom figuring out where the bodies were fine was fine plot wise. It's just why did he ask to speak to Eddie Brock in the first place? He had no reason.
Right.
Because he
Right, like,
said
No,
he
he
felt
didn't.
like family. He felt like
Then it
home.
makes no sense.
How does that
That's
doesn't
what he
make any
said.
sense?
That's
And
what
then,
he
like,
said. He said
Brock
you
is
feel
like,
like family.
A low tier reporter, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm a
Yeah.
serial killer and I want my story out there, which is not unheard of,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be Eddie
Yeah.
Brock.
Lois
Yeah.
Lane.
Well,
I mean, I know
originally
it's the
that's
wrong
what we-
universe, but still.
I was like, originally
you get
that's what
someone
we
on Lois
thought.
Lane level. Yeah.
Because we thought he wanted to get his story out there, but then he didn't tell Eddie nothing. He didn't tell him anything.
He
wanted
was,
his
he was
message out.
communicating
Yeah,
his
his girlfriend.
to his girlfriend, but this was my thing. It wasn't making any sense. Who would approve of the article to still be playing?
Yeah, he spoke
Like,
some weird poetry.
Whoever
It's a haiku.
the front page though.
I know,
front
that's what I'm
page.
saying. I'm saying, like, nobody's printing that because that's all he gave him.
Yeah, that's all he kept giving them.
Maybe he saw what was going on the news the prior, like,
What, with
all
the
the
Life
stuff
Foundation
that
and
came
stuff
out.
from the first movie?
Yeah, and maybe that's why he was like, something's up with him. But
He didn't know that though.
I know. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It's
It
really
doesn't.
small.
That is,
Circumstantial.
Yeah,
the reason
to me
he's
it's
there.
really small because it's just a plot point to get the movie started, and the rest of the plot makes sense. It's just kind of he randomly asked Eddie Brock to come see him in his cell. Okay.
Okay.
My other nitpick, Taylor mentioned a little bit of this, but when Venom was left to Eddie, he was just hopping from host to host, and they couldn't handle being Venom, so they were dying. So I'm like, Venom's just killing people, basically. Like, he was at the rave, and, like, the first person he was in, like, started throwing up and died. And he
So,
moved to another person.
What makes Brock able to handle him and no one else?
Explained in the first movie, I guess he's just compatible.
Okay.
yeah.
Which,
How
I
the
guess they-
symbiotes work in the comic books is that they have to find a compatible host, and everyone is not compatible. So they can, be a parasite on everyone, but everyone doesn't last. Excuse me, as long. And so that's what was the issue. So for the sake of the story in the comic book, Eddie Brock was compatible for the Venom symbiote.
also you need a reason for it, since you don't have their hatred of Spider-Man. You need a reason
Yeah.
for Venom really staying with Eddie,
Right.
and he's one of the few
Yeah.
people that he can stick with without them dying.
Well, yeah.
Which I guess in general they don't care, but if he also Venom also he can't survive outside of a body, so
Right.
Okay.
those were my nitpicks. Any nitpicks, Taylor?
Dan again. I hated the whole and Venom hug. Like, I just thought that was like, I was just like, why? Basically, Anne was trying to pass Venom to Eddie, and so Venom basically made them hug. I was like, that was just bleh.
Okay.
Like,
She really
like,
doesn't like this Anne person.
I can tell.
I just feel like they're just like trying to portray this whole thing of like, oh yes, that was his lost love and blah blah blah. I'm like, maybe if Eddie wouldn't have been hung up on Anne so much, then Screech wouldn't have even found her to kidnap her. Like, if he actually would have like moved on with his life and didn't have pictures of her in his apartment,
Yeah,
she
he
wouldn't
had
have
a
known.
picture of her on his desk, and that's how Shriek found her. You got a point. You got a point.
I mean, like, move on, my dude. Like, she got a new man. Like, it's done.
Like,
It's
yeah.
over. It's like, it's over. Okay, she left you for the doctor. It's fine. You didn't want to be on the emotional roller coaster. That was your life. Nitpick. They destroyed the Bugatti. I didn't think that was right.
Man,
I don't think that was needed. Like, why you gotta trash the Bugatti? That was parts breaking everywhere. I mean, that was
all right then. You got any nitpicks,
Yeah.
Derek?
Yes. Why was Ravencroft so easily to break into? This
So
is a
what
place
can
where you
happen?
keeping all these criminals and superpowered people.
Yeah, but it was
And
Carnage that broke into it.
She was like, "You're never gonna leave here."
right.
How did he get
Nah,
through? I was wondering,
That's
how
what
did
I'm-
he get into Shriek's cell? Because, like, when you're bonded with a symbiote, I know the symbiote is slimy mush, but you're not. So, like, you can't just like
He
slide
oozed.
through a door.
I was like, he oozed through the air exchange.
That was my whole thing about that whole scene. Like, he broke her out with such ease. Like, he got in her cell, got her out her cell,
Well,
and
did
I'm
he
just
just
like,
break through walls?
Yeah, I mean, like, I
he
believe.
can, yeah, but in that scene he didn't.
Yeah, I believe it would be easy for Carnage. It was just weird that he was just like in her cell,
Yeah,
She had
her
no problem with
soundproof
that
cell,
either.
by the way.
yes,
Also,
Yeah.
I have another nitpick now that you mentioned Ravencroft. She has a
Mhm.
soundproof cell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mhm.
this is current day. Their soundproofing it looked like just like some padding, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Uh,
was because when they first took her there, it was what? When was it?
80s.
Yeah, like I felt like she was there since then.
Oh, you
That's
can't
why.
like redo her cell.
Well, how you gonna do that? If you
Yeah.
redo it, she gonna shriek you, and then you gonna
Okay,
lose
I
your
guess I'll
ears
take
out.
it back because I was like, we
That also
definitely.
leads to my next nitpick, which is when they was transferring her from the mental hospital to Raven, they didn't know her powers.
They
Right,
did know her powers.
right. I was thinking that too.
I'm like,
Yeah, well, they didn't
they,
cover her mouth or anything.
they didn't
No
cover her
muzzle, no
powers.
nothing.
She don't have no power dampening color. If it was one back then, it was just
She
she's in
should have been
handcuffs.
looking like Hannibal Lecter out here.
Noise canceling headphones, man.
Yes.
That's what they
Yes.
had when they went to
And
get
when
her
the scene
food.
started, DJ brought it out. He was like, she said was like, yeah, they're coming to get me because my mutation is getting stronger and they don't want to keep me here. So it was just like she's leaving because her powers is getting stronger, but they did nothing to dampen or hinder her powers whatsoever. So
Maybe
she
they
gets
didn't
in
know
the
the
truck
extent
and
of
was
it.
like, you know what my power is? And it was like, what? And then she just started screaming. And I'm like, what kind of, y'all suck at your job.
Yeah. All right, let's talk
Oh,
about the end
wait.
credits. What? Oh,
Oh, I have one more nitpick.
okay.
How is it that after busting her out and y'all choosing your outfits on the run, does she end up with a two-piece Gucci outfit and a
She
faux fur
stole it.
coat? I'm like, where did you steal this Gucci outfit from? Where?
Aren't
Her
they in New
outfit
York?
was nice though.
San Francisco.
I was like, okay, we
San
just
Francisco.
okay.
Yeah, they're in San Francisco.
Represent
Somebody
San
got a Gucci
Francisco.
outfit on.
That's probably easy to find.
I'm just saying
That
that
was a
seemed a bit
nice.
off for me.
That was a nice two-piece outfit though.
It
I'm
was.
like, he up here with a Tommy Bahama shirt and a blazer.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, he looked like he just came from Beachwood Mall.
I was like, is that Tommy Bahama? I swear to God. There's like 3 Tommy Bahama shirts in there. 2 Tommy Bahama shirts and swim trunks. I promise you.
Okay.
I
Well, let's
spotted
get
them.
to the meaty parts of this, and it is the post-credit scene. So,
Yes.
the post-credit scene shows Venom and Eddie's talking. They're somewhere in Mexico, I believe, and then the world changes around them, and you have J. Jonah Jameson on the screen blaming Spider-Man for killing Mysterio, bringing Venom into the MCU.
Yay!
Yeah. Which I
Clap
think
it up,
is
everybody.
I think it is big though, because
Yeah.
I think there's some people wanted to happen but didn't think it would happen.
I didn't
And
think it would.
now it is. Plus, we're seeing the other side of what we saw in the Spider-Man trailer. Spider-Man trailer, we just saw a bunch of people from other movies basically show up. Now we see their side of it, because Venom just chilling there, and then, light in the room changes around him, and all of a sudden he's in a different place. So
Yeah.
that is huge. So people wanted Venom to be with Spider-Man. We're going to get that, although my theory is I don't think he should be. I don't think he's going to be a major player in No Way Home. And if anything, I think he's going to be like a post-credit scene.
I would agree,
I'm
because
fine with
otherwise you're
that.
going to have too much going on in this movie.
Yeah.
But I
Spider-Man
think,
ain't gonna survive.
well, it does. It will help them if Tom Holland's going to be used in another Sony movie. It makes it easier for him to transfer into their movie with a Venom. If, you make this cameo in the MCU movie.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think it's a smart play by Sony as well. I mean, obviously Marvel had to agree to it, but this is a smart play by Sony as well. If they have their movies, Morbius, Venom, Kraven the Hunter, if they have it tied into the MCU, then you're going to get the MCU people making sure they watch your Sony movies. The MCU fandom, they're going to watch every movie.
I don't think you're going to get that, though. Like, okay, I see having Spider-Man tie in, but I don't think there's no way you're going to get Morbius or Kraven the Hunter to tie into the MCU in any fashion.
Well, Morbius already does because Vulture's in it.
Yep.
But technically isn't... But Spider-Man is more of a Sony movie than an MCU movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like we still claim it. We still claim it.
It's canon. It's a part of the phases.
I mean, yeah, but I felt like having Vulture in it does not mean like, oh, hey, we're connected. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to need to see Chris Evans.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we kind of said originally when we saw Vulture in the Morbius trailer. It was kind of like, hey, but Morbius isn't an MCU movie, but that's cool. But I think with the Venom thing, it's like, it depends on how No Way Home ends, whether everything splits back apart or if it's still mushed together as one universe. Because bringing Venom in could mean that the future movies are going to be tied in if they keep it together. If Spider-Man and Doctor Strange solves it all at the end of No Way Home and everybody goes about their way, then, no
I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to be
it doesn't.
connected because I feel like there's no need for them to be connected. I mean, unless there's really no reason for it to be. Like, why does Kraven the Hunter need to be connected to the MCU?
He needs to hunt Spider-Man.
Well, he does other things. Doesn't he, like, trying to save that girl or something? Isn't that...
Dr. Kafka? Is that her name?
I don't know. Sounds like a name.
I think it's that. I do kind of want to see a Kraven movie.
I
though.
do.
He
I
was
liked
his,
his character a
wife,
lot in the
though.
cartoon.
But that was his wife, though.
Was it?
that his wife?
That wasn't his wife, was it?
Yeah, she left him because he started taking the serum.
Oh, so he's just a
they're
stalker?
married.
How did I not realize this as a kid?
Because we were kids.
Maybe I don't like him as much anymore.
I will be honest. I only know that because I started watching the Spider-Man cartoon, so it's still fresh in my mind.
Awesome. Well, here's the question: do you think we're gonna get Black Suit Spider-Man? Not in the next
I hope
movie.
so.
I don't think in the next movie. But do you think we're gonna get it?
Yes.
I
Okay.
hope so.
I
Yeah, I think
think
so.
I
too.
mean,
the one reason to have him show up is to get him and Tom Holland together, right?
Yeah.
You absolutely
Right.
gonna get that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want that,
I,
but there's a problem. Go ahead, Taylor.
I was gonna say, I'm just happy that they actually put that end credit scene in because I thought the only Spider-Man reference was gonna be that Cassidy smashed that spider on the postcard,
All right. Yeah.
and I was like, "Is that it?" Oh my god, no!
He was talking about some origins
That was
too,
a
and the
good
spider
catch.
crawled across and he smushed it.
Yeah, that was a
I
good
think.
catch. I didn't pay attention to that. The fact
Yeah.
of the connection of it being the spider.
I think it was a reference to the fact that Venom's origin didn't have to do with Spider-Man in this. It should have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So
that's the
here's
problem.
here's the issue with Black Suit Spider-Man. In this, we've established Venom is not changing Eddie's personality.
Oh,
He is not
maybe
changing
Eddie
Eddie's
is
personality.
more messed up.
He's not. Eddie, throughout these, Eddie Brock was still Eddie Brock. There was no change. Only difference you have is you hear Venom's voice in his head, and Venom makes him do things sometimes, like
Well,
literally
Eddie's
controlling
an
his
adult.
body.
Dude,
So-
Eddie's an adult. Spider-Man is an adolescent, so maybe his brain is not as strong. His mind and willpower is not as strong. I could.
That's a stretch,
The twist
but I
they
guess you could
use.
do that.
So you're saying if you get Black Suited Spider-Man, he's not going to turn into an angry jerk
Yeah.
because Venom doesn't change personalities. I guarantee you they're going to like lolly die over that fact for Eddie Brock and make that happen to Spider-Man.
Because what would be the reason for it? Because then what's the reason for Spider-Man getting rid of the Venom symbiote? It makes him stronger, faster, and better, right? But there's no negative drawback
Yeah.
if it doesn't
They're just
like
gonna-
make him violent.
They're going to look over that.
Turns you into a
guarantee it.
jerk, and then it makes you steal the girls as
And
you
dance
start tapping
weird
your
in the
fingers
street.
and dance. Get up on this.
The best scene in Spider-Man 3. Best scene.
It is the best scene. It's one of my favorites. The best scene.
So, and I don't know, I recently thought about this like maybe a couple hours ago, and I was like, that is an issue because I didn't even notice because we started with Venom just being with Eddie Brock. But yeah, Brock's not snapping at people. He's not being violent and stuff, which is a very big departure from Eddie Brock, at least in the cartoon.
I think that goes with more
Same
of
part.
them
I
not
think the
wanting
same
to
thing.
make the bad guy evil.
Right. Right.
I think that goes more to the issue of making him likable when he doesn't really have to be. But I guarantee you, though,
The symbiote will make
he
Spider-Man
will make
violent.
yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, like you said, well, then what's the point?
Yeah. Because there has to
I
be a
don't think
drawback.
it'll be a.
Yeah.
Why would
issue.
Spider-Man reject it?
Yeah. Yeah, no. So yeah, no, that'll happen. Then you'll just forget that he didn't do that to Eddie though.
Okay.
Which Spider-Man though? Which Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
It has to be
Spider-Man
Tom
is-
Holland.
is-
Don't
I'm
even-
like-
We've already
Because-
seen Tobey Maguire in that Venom. Okay.
Bring it back.
The most positive thing to come out of this is from then on, Venom can have the white spider on his chest.
Yes.
That's what you're waiting
Yep.
for.
Yep, absolutely. I'll be happy.
Dreams
Okay,
come
then.
true. Make his dreams come true.
All right. Are we ready to rate the movie?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give this. I'm between. I would pay for that and watch while folding clothes.
I was gonna say.
I'm in between those, so I guess if I were to rate it out of 10, I would give it like a 7, something like that. It's better than watch while folding clothes, but
It's not really great.
yeah, I enjoyed the movie though.
Okay.
All right.
Taylor.
My rating is watch while folding clothes. And here's why. It's something that you don't necessarily have to be completely tuned into. Like, you don't have to completely be cognizant of every single storyline or every single thing that they're saying, because you could just kind of jump in and it'd be like, okay. That's why I wouldn't say like, oh, I'd pay for that. Because honestly, I'd probably just watch it on HBO Max. Like, if it came out HBO or on, Disney Plus, like, okay, I'd watch it, but probably, if you're a fan of the Venom series and you want to continue the story, then go ahead and pay for it. But honestly, you could just watch my folding clothes and you'd be good.
Yeah, I would say the only reason you would want to go to a theater to see this is the Carnage scenes. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
what if you have a really good TV?
if you got a really good TV and really good sound, I think you're golden.
All right.
Yeah.
Get that surround sound, that subwoofer.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Derek?
I will also say watch while folding clothes.
Okay.
All right.
That's going to be our rating then. Watch while folding clothes, which, if you haven't listened to our podcast before, that is a 3 out of 5 or a 6 to 7 out of 10 in between those. So that's our rating. It's a good rating. So if you haven't seen Venom, and I would say this, if you're on the fence about seeing Venom, go see it. You'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
I will say the same. It is
Yeah.
definitely better than the first movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening and leave a rating and review. We would like to know what you think about us. Send us your angry comments.
Only 5-star ratings, guys. Only 5-star ratings.
Only 5-star ratings. Yeah. Yeah. If you leave us a 1-star rating, I'm going to find you. Okay. Deidre has a very particular set of skills.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, but with that being said, we'd like to thank all of you for listening wherever you listen to your podcast, and make sure you check us out in the future. Peace out.